Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 2 Minute Warning social media. There was no show this week due to spring break, so we're just going to go through free agency. There's been a lot happening, and I don't think I would have time to cover everything that happened within the last couple days, even all next week on the show. So we're just going to go ahead here and get started with the AFC East. The Buffalo Bills, uh, Josh Allen re-signed for 6 years. Darrynton Evans signed for 1 year. Ty Johnson re-signed for 2 years. Reggie Gilliam signed for 1 year, re-signed for 1 year. Josh Palmer agreed to a 3-year, $36 million contract. Khalil Shakir signed a 4-year extension. Joey Bosa signed a 1-year, $12.6 million deal. I thought Joey Bosa was going to stay in LA, or he was going to go to San Francisco with his brother. Turns out he's going to the AFC East. He is going to Buffalo. Michael Hocht agreed to a 3-year contract. Greg Russo signed a 4-year, $80 million extension. Larry Ogunjobi signed a 1-year, $8.3 million contract. Terrell Barron agreed to a 4-year extension worth $50 million. Derek Forrest signed a 1-year deal. DeMar Hamlin re-signed for one year, $2 million. And Reed Ferguson re-signed to a 4-year contract. For the Dolphins, Zach Wilson goes from Denver to Miami, signing a 1-year deal with the Dolphins. Dwayne Eskridge re-signed with the Dolphins. Nick Westbrook's Akine agreed to a 2-year, $6.5 million deal. Jackson Carman re-signed with the Dolphins. Larry Borom signed a free agent deal. James Daniels signed a 3-year, $24 million deal. KJ Britt signed a 1-year deal. Terrell Dodson re-signing on a 2-year deal. Afitu Melinfanu agreed on a 1-year, $4 million deal. Elijah Campbell re-signed with the team. And Ashton Davis signed a 1-year, $2.5 million deal. And the last half of the East with New England, we got Josh Dobbs, which I like since Jacoby Brissett signed with the Cardinals. So I like having Josh Dobbs in there as a solid quarterback, whether that's the number 2 or the number 3. He's always a safe option as a backup. Mac Hollins agreed to a 2-year, $8.4 million deal, which I love him at wide receiver. He was one of the guys I'm hoping we get. I'm still hoping we sign a guy like Cooper Kupp, since the Rams did release him. Austin Hooper, I loved him last year. He re-signed for 1 year, $5 million. I'm glad we were able to get him back. Morgan Moses signed a 3-year, $24 million deal. Hopefully this isn't our only offensive line signing here. Hopefully we can get a couple other guys, including the free agency and the draft, because our O-line was one of our biggest struggles last season. Harold Landry signed a 3-year, $43.5 million deal. D lineman Milton Williams signed a 4-year, $104 million deal, which, like I said a couple weeks ago on the show, Milton Williams said he wanted to play in Philly. He just needed paid. But New England went out and paid him. He signed with New England. He's in the blue, silver, and red. And I love to see that for New England's defense. He's going to be a dominating force in those front 3. Chris Tonga signed a 1-year, $2.7 million deal. Robert Spillane signed a free agent deal, which I love since I believe we just released a linebacker, if I'm not mistaken. Glad we got one back. Carlton Davis, I do like this move, signed a 3-year, $60 million deal. We have a pretty good 1-2 punch combo at the cornerback position with Christian Gonzalez and Carlton Davis. And to round out the AFC East, the Jets signed Justin Fields to 2 years, $40 million with $30 million fully guaranteed including a $15 million signing bonus and a $5 million base salary. What a contract for a young guy like Justin Fields, who still has a lot of potential to develop into a superstar. He showed bits and pieces of that last year with the Steelers. He showed bits and pieces of it throughout his tenure with the Bears. I feel like Justin Fields can really be something as long as he has the help. Chukuma Okafor signs with the Jets. Josh Myers agrees to a one-year deal. Jameon Sherwood re-signed to 3 years, $45 million. Brandon Stevens agreed to a 3-year, $36 million contract. Andre Cisco agreed to a one-year deal worth up to $10 million. Isaiah Oliver re-signed. And starting off with the North, Baltimore hasn't done too much, but they're already a Super Bowl contender. And these three moves could really seal it, especially this top move here. DeAndre Hopkins, 1 year, $6 million. I feel like that trio of Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, and DeAndre Hopkins could really be deadly here in the 2025-2026 NFL season. Fullback Patrick Ricard re-signed for 1 year, $2.8 million. That's fully guaranteed. And offensive tackle Ronnie Stanley re-signed for 3 years, $60 million, which is a big move. Ronnie Stanley is one of the bigger parts of that Ravens offensive line. The Bengals getting busy here. They signed running back Samaje Perine for 2 years. T. Higgins got the franchise tag. Mike Gesicki gets re-signed to a 3-year deal. Tanner Hudson gets re-signed for 1 year. Cody Ford gets re-signed for 2 years. Joseph Ossai gets re-signed on a 1-year deal worth $7 million. Cam Sample gets re-signed on a 1-year deal. B.J. Hill gets re-signed to a 3-year deal. T.J. Slayton agreed to a 2-year deal. Oren Bucks agreed to a 2-year deal for $5 million. Marco Wilson re-signed for 1 year. And Cal Adomitis agreed to a 1-year extension. The Browns, this is their big one. Myles Garrett did not want to stay in Cleveland. He wanted a trade. He wanted out of there. But the Browns convinced him to stay. Money talks. $123 million. Money talks. That's for 4 years. Kenny Pickett gets acquired in a trade with the Eagles in exchange for Dorian Thompson-Robinson and a 2025 5th-round pick. Cornelius Lucas agreed to terms with the Browns. We just talked about this Myles Garrett trade, or Myles Garrett signing big. Joe Troyan Shoyinka, I believe that's how you pronounce it. I'm not good with names. Signs for 1 year, $4.75 million. Malik Collins agreed to 2 years, $20 million, and linebacker Devin Bush agreed to terms. Steelers are getting back Mason Rudolph. He signs for 2 years and $8 million. They get running back Kenneth Gainwell for 1 year, $1.79 million, which could be a solid fit after Najee just signed with the Chargers. They get DK Metcalf in a trade with the Seahawks in exchange for a 2025 second-round pick and a late-round pick swap. Signing for 4 years, $132 million extension. Tight end Donald Parham Jr. signed 1 year. Malik Harrison signed a 2-year, $10 million deal. Brandon Echols signed a 2-year contract, and Darius Slay signed a $10 million 1-year deal that's fully guaranteed, which Darius Slay was one of those guys I thought was going to stay in Philly. I thought Philly was going to do whatever they could to re-sign Darius Slay. Heading on over to the South now. I'm not even going to try to pronounce that. But he re-signed for 1 year, $2 million. Braxton Berrios signed a 1 year, $2 million deal. Christian Kirk was acquired in a trade with the Jaguars in exchange for a 2026 7th-round pick. Justin Watson signed a free agent deal. Laken Tomlinson agreed to a 1 year, $4.25 million deal with max value of $5 million. Derek Barnett returning on a 1 year, $5 million deal. Darrell Taylor agreed to a 1 year deal. Mario Edwards re-signing on a 2-year, $9.5 million deal. Sheldon Rankins agreed to a 1-year deal with the max value of $7 million. Nick Niemann signing a 2-year deal. Trayman Smith signing a 2-year, $7 million deal. C.J. Gardner Johnson, talking a little fast. My brain can't catch up. Acquired along with a 2026 sixth-round pick in a trade with the Eagles in exchange for guard Kenyon Green and a 2026 fifth-rounder. And MJ Stewart re-signed for 1 year, $2.5 million contract with $500,000 guaranteed. Heading over to the Colts, they get Daniel Jones from the Giants. He agreed to a 1-year, $14 million deal. Running back Khalil Herbert has re-signed is signing for a year, not re-signed. Wide receiver Ashton Dillon re-signed for 2 years. Center Danny Pinter has re-signed with the Colts. Charvarius Ward agreed to a 3-year deal. And Cameron Bynum agreed to a 4-year deal. To the Jags, they get quarterback Nick Mullins for 2 years, $6.5 million with $3 million guaranteed. Diami Brown agreed to a 1-year, $10 million deal that has a max value of $12 million. Hunter Long agreed to a 2-year, $5 million deal with a max value of $6 million. Tight end Johnny Munt agreed the terms, along with offensive tackle Chuman Adoga. Robert Hainsey agreed to a 3-year, $21 million deal. Guard Patrick McCarry agreed to a free agent deal. Cornerback Jordan Lewis signing a 3-year deal. And safety Eric Murray also signing a 3-year deal. For the Titans, they get quarterback Brandon Allen signing a 1-year contract. Van Jefferson signing a 1-year deal. Dan Moore Jr. signed a 4-year deal. Blake Hance signed. Kevin Zettler signed a 1-year, $9 million contract. Draymond Jones signed a 1-year, $8.5 million deal. Sebastian Joseph Day re-signed to a 1-year deal. Cody Barton signed a 3-year deal. Morgan Cox re-signed a free agent deal. And Johnny Hecker signed a 1-year deal. To the AFC West, the Broncos re-signed quarterback Jarrett Stidham for 2 years. Wide receiver Trent Sherfield agreed to 2 years. Evan Ingram agreed to 2 years as well. Matt Piart re-signed for 2 years, $7 million. DJ Jones re-signed for 3 years. Dre Greenlaw agreed to a 3-year deal worth $35 million. Justin Strnad, not sure how you pronounce that, re-signed on a 1-year, $2.7 million deal. Talona Hufanga agreed to a 3-year deal worth up to $45 million. And Mitchell Fraboni re-signed to a 3-year contract. For the Chiefs, running back Elijah Mitchell signed a 1-year, $2.5 million deal. Hollywood Brown re-signed for 1 year, worth up to $11 million. Offensive tackle Jalen Moore signed a 2-year, $30 million contract, which the Chiefs' tackle position is something they needed to address. That's half of the problem. And getting Trey Smith for franchise tagging Trey Smith was another move they needed to do, because Trey Smith was one of the bright spots in the Chiefs' offensive line with not many bright spots in it. Linebacker Nick Bolton re-signed a 3-year, $45 million contract. Christian Fulton signing a 2-year, $20 million deal. Matt Azaria is tendered by the team as an exclusive free agent. The tender is worth $960,000. James Winchester re-signed to a 1-year, $1.65 million deal. That is fully guaranteed. The Raiders get Geno Smith with a trade with the Seahawks in exchange for a 2025 third round pick. They also get Raheem Mostert for 1 year. Offensive guard Alex Kappa signed a 2-year deal. Max Crosby signed a 3-year extension. Malcolm Kuntze re-signed a 1-year, $12 million deal. Adam Butler re-signed to a 3-year contract. Aladen Roberts signed a 1-year, $30.01 million deal. Eric Stokes signing a 1-year, $4 million deal. Jeremy Chin signed a 2-year deal worth more than $16 million. And Isaiah Polamao signed a 2-year extension worth up to $8.5 million. For the Chargers, they get Najee Harris. Talked about that earlier, as the Steelers did not reach out on his 5th-year deal. Chargers went out and got him. Wide receiver Jalen Reagor re-signs. Mike Williams signing a 1-year deal. Bradley Bozeman re-signs a multi-year contract. Deshaun Hand signing a 1-year, $3.35 million contract. Khalil Mack re-signing. Like I said, I wasn't too sure if many teams were going to go out and try to get Khalil Mack. I'm not too sure what his offers were, but he does end up going back to LA. Not even know how you pronounce that. Tart returning on a new deal. I hate this website. I don't hate the website. I hate how this layout is, because not all the contracts are there. I mean, I'm sure they don't have all the details for all the contracts, but it's like, what kind of new deal? How many years is the new deal? I'm interested. Troy Dye returning on a 2-year deal. Denzel Perryman re-signing with the Chargers. Dante Jackson agreed to a 2-year, $13 million deal. Elijah Molden signed a 3-year, $18.75 million extension. Benjamin St. Juste agreed to a 1-year contract. J.K. Scott returning to the Chargers on a 2-year, $6 million deal. To the NFC now. The Cowboys get running back Javonte Williams for 1 year. Robert Jones for 1 year. Peyton Turner for 1 year. Osa, not going to try. Re-signed for 4 years. Solomon Thomas agreed to a 2-year contract. Kenneth Murray was acquired in a trade with the Titans. Kenneth Murray, I just went over that. Khair Alam acquired in a trade with the Bills, along with a 2025 6th-round pick in exchange for a 2025 5th-rounder and a 2026 7th-rounder. C.J. Goodwin re-signed on a 1-year deal. Marquise Bell re-signed on a 3-year deal. Trent Siege re-signed on a free agent deal. Brian Anger re-signed on a 2-year deal. Kevontae Turpin re-signed to a 3-year deal. For the Giants, they get Tommy DeVito for a 1-year deal. Darius Slayton on a 3-year deal. Amir Smith-Marset re-signed with the Giants. Chris Mannertz re-signed on a free agent deal. Stone Forsythe agreed to terms. James Hudson agreed to a 2-year, $12 million deal that has a max value of $16. Edge Chancey Goldston agreed to a 3-year, $19.5 million. Roy Robertson Harris signed a 2-year, $9 million contract. Chris Board signed a 2-year deal worth up to $6 million. Paul Adebo signed a 3-year, $54 million contract that includes $36 million guaranteed. Javon Holland signed a 3-year, $45.3 million deal, includes $30.3 million guaranteed. Jamie Jalon re-signed a 3-year contract worth up to $10.2 million. And Casey Crater re-signed a free agent deal. For the Eagles, they get DTR, Dorian Thompson-Robertson, in a trade with the Browns for Kenny Pickett and a 5th-round pick. Saquon signed a 2-year extension. A.J. Dillon agreed to a 1-year contract. Harrison Bryant signed a 1-year deal. Kenyon Green was acquired along with a 2026 5th-round pick in a trade with the Eagles for C.J. Gardner-Johnson and a 2026 6th-round pick. Josh Uche signed a 1-year deal, and Zach Bond was re-signing with the team for 3 years, $51 million. For the Commanders, Marcus Mariota is going back to Washington for 1 year. Jeremy McNichols re-signed for 1 year. Deebo Samuel was acquired in a trade with the 49ers for a 5th-round pick. This caught me off guard. I was not expecting that. John Bates re-signed to a 3-year, $21 million deal that includes $11.52 million guaranteed. Zach Ertz required on a 1-year, $6.25 million deal worth up to $9 million. Laramie Tunsil was acquired in a trade with the Texans along with a 2025 4th-round pick in exchange for a 3rd and 7th-round pick in 2025. And a 2nd and a 4th-round pick for 2026. Michael Dieter re-signed with the team. Dietrich Wise agreed to a 1-year deal worth up to $5 million. Him leaving New England and coming to Washington, I didn't mind that. I don't think he did too much in New England. He was solid, but getting Milton Williams to, fill the gap in the D-line. Sure, Milton Williams isn't an edge guy, but we'll see what New England does to fill out that edge gap. If we didn't already, I don't remember. So a lot going on, a lot to remember here. Yeah. Okay, we got Harold Landry. So we did fill out that edge gap. I'm sure we're going to draft somebody, whether that be an edge guy or just a down guy. Eddie Goldman agreed to a 1-year deal. Sheldon Day agreed to a 1-year deal. Javon Kinlaw agreed to a 3-year deal. Bobby Wagner re-signed for a year. Jonathan Jones agreed to 1 year. Will Harris signed for 2 years. Zane Gonzalez re-signed a free agent deal. Tress Way re-signed for a year. Going to the NFC North, starting off with the Bears, Durham Smith signed for 1 year. Jonah Jackson was acquired in a trade with the Rams in exchange for a 2025 6th-round pick. Offensive guard Joe Thuney was acquired in a trade with the Chiefs, which I didn't think the Chiefs were going to trade Joe Thuney. He was definitely one of the best Chiefs offensive linemen, if not the best. Drew Dowman agreed for 3 years. Deo Odingbo agreed for 3 years. Grady Jarrett signed for 3 years. Amen. I'm not even going to try to pronounce his last name. Re-signed for 2 years, and Scott Daly re-signed for 1 year. For the Lions, Marcus Davenport re-signed on a 1-year deal. Roy Lopez signed for 1 year, $4.65 million. Levi Onwuzurike re-signed for 1 year. Derek Barnes signed for 3 years. And DJ Reed signed a free agent deal. Not a lot going on here in the North. For the Packers, they get offensive guard Aaron Banks for 4 years. Isaiah McDuffie re-signs. Nate Hobbs agreed for 4 years, $48 million deal. Brandon McManus re-signed a 3-year contract. Now, the Vikings went to work. They got running back Aaron Jones. He re-signed for 2 years. Will Fries agreed for 5 years, $88 million. $88 million. Ryan Kelly agreed to a 2-year, $18 million deal. Jonathan Allen agreed to a 3-year, $51 million deal. Jonathan Hargrave agreed to a 2-year, $30 million contract. Byron Murphy re-signed for 3 years, $54 million. Isaiah Rodgers agreed to terms. along with Tavier Thomas. Theo Jackson agreed for 2 years, $12.615 million extension through the 2027 season. Harrison Smith returns for his 14th season, and all of them being with Minnesota. He agreed to a 1-year contract worth up to $14 million and a base salary of $10.25 million. Punter Ryan White agreed to re-sign a 1-year, $1.75 million deal that has a max value of $2 million. In the South, we have 2 more divisions to go through. In the NFC South, wide receiver Kadriel Hodge re-signed for 2 years worth $6 million. Jake Matthews signed a 2-year, $45 million extension. Leonard Floyd signed for 1 year. Divine Diablo agreed for 2 years. Mike Hughes re-signed for 3 years, and Liam McCullough signed a 4-year extension. Panthers also went to work here. They got Andy Dalton. He re-signed for 2 years. Rico Dowdle agreed for 1 year. Tommy Tremble re-signed for 2 years. Brady Christensen re-signed for 1 year. Austin Corbett re-signed a free agent deal. Patrick Jones II agreed to a 2-year deal worth up to $20 million. Trayshawn Wharton agreed to a 3-year deal worth up to $54 million. Bobby Brown III signing a 3-year, $21 million deal that has a max value of $27 million. Christian Roseboom signs for 1 year. J.C. Horn agreed to terms on a 4-year extension. Mike Jackson agreed to terms on a free agent deal. Trayvon Morig signing a 3-year, $51 million deal. And punter Sam Martin signs a 1-year deal worth up to $3 million. For the Saints, they re-sign wide receiver Dante Pettis. They re-sign tight end Juwan Johnson. They sign tight end Jack Stoll. They get Devon Godchucks in a trade with the Patriots for a 7th-round pick. New England has 9 draft picks this year, along with filling in the gaps with Milton Williams and that other edge guy. I forget his name already. I have done 27 and a half minutes of talking about football. I'm going to forget a couple guys' names. But they re-sign Cam Jordan. They re-sign Chase Young for 3 years. Isaac Yiadom signs for 3 years. Justin Reed agrees for 3 years. For the Bucs, they get quarterback Kyle Trask. They re-signed for 1 year. Christian Godwin re-signed for 3 years. Ben Bredson re-signs for 3 years. Anthony Nelson re-signs for 2 years. Hassan Reddick agreed to a 1-year deal. Greg Gaines re-signed for 1 year. Levante David re-signed for 1 year. Anthony Walker signed for 1 year. And Riley Dixon agreed to a 2-year, $6 million deal. And in our final division, our last 4 teams, starting off with the Cardinals, they get Jacoby Brissett, signing him from free agency for 2 years, $12.5 million with $8 million guaranteed. Wide receiver Zay Jones re-signed for 1 year. Kelvin Beckham re-signed for 1 year. Evan Brown re-signed for 2 years. Baron Browning re-signed for 2 years, $15 million. LJ Collier re-signed on a 1-year deal worth up to $4 million. Josh Sweat agreed to a 4-year contract up to worth $76.4 million, $41 million guaranteed. The Eagles' defense is going to look a lot different next season. Will the Eagles be as dominant as they were this season without Milton Williams, Josh Sweat, Darius Slay? 3 guys who really did a lot of the heavy lifting throughout the 2024-25 season and in that Super Bowl. Dalvin Tomlinson signed for 2 years. Akeem Davis-Gaither agreed to a 2-year, $11 million contract. Mykal Walker signed for 1 year. And Aaron Brewer re-signed for 1 year. Jimmy G is returning for 1 year. Matthew Stafford is also returning. Um, Not exactly sure what's going on here. They restricted his contract. Don't know how long. It says it should have been updated yesterday. Um, but yeah, he's most likely going to stay in LA. They agreed to the contract. He just has to sign it. Devontae Adams signed for 2 years. Tutu Atwell. Tutu Atwell. This is him re-signing to the Rams. That's what I was thinking about earlier when I was talking about the Patriots. I just seen this earlier today on Facebook. Re-signed for 1 year. Alaric Jackson re-signed on a 3-year, $57 million deal. Coleman Shelton signed a 2-year, $12 million deal. And Poona Ford signed a 3-year deal. Quarterback Mac Jones agreed to a 2-year, $7 million deal with $5 million. I also seen something about Sam Darnold signing with the Niners. I'm not sure if that was confirmed or not, but I did see that Sam Darnold was going back to the Niners. Patrick Taylor re-signed for 1 year. DeMarcus Robinson signed a 2-year deal worth $9.5 million. Luke Farrell agreed to a 3-year deal. Ben Barch signed a 1-year extension. Luke Gifford signed a 1-year deal. Trey Brown signed a 1-year deal. And Richie Grant agreed to 1 year. Oh, he went to Seattle. Excuse me. Sam Darnold signing with Seattle for 3 years, $100.5 million. How will he perform in Seattle? I think he'll do pretty good. I mean, he took the Vikings to, what was it, an 11-6 season with a wild card exit, I believe, or a divisional round exit. I think it was a wild card exit. But they started off hot with Sam Darnold behind the wheel. Marquez Valdes-Scantling signed for 1 year. Josh Jones signed for 1 year. DeMarcus Lawrence agreed to a 3-year deal. Jarran Reed re-signed for 3 years, and Ernest Jones re-signed for 3 years. That's everything that's happened in free agency as of today, March 13th. It is 4:19 p.m. Not sure what else is going to go on throughout the day. Let me refresh this here, see if anything new pops up. Scroll through it one last time. Yeah, I'm not really seeing anything. New here. Yeah, no, nothing new yet. Second day of free agency. A lot has happened within these last couple days. Make sure you guys listen to the 2-Minute Warning radio show on Tuesday, March 18th, 7 p.m. on 88.1 FM, WXTC, Greenville, Pennsylvania, or on WXTCradio.com, 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. We're going to talk more free agency. We're going to talk draft strategies. We're going to talk pack sports. We're going to talk MLB. We're going to talk NBA. Since the playoffs are right around the corner. We're going to talk WrestleMania. WrestleMania season's coming up soon. And I plan to do an episode with a couple guests that is strictly WWE. Not sure exactly the date I'm going to do that or exactly who I'm going to do that. I know who I'm going to do that with. I'm just messing with you guys. But yeah, that episode's going to be fun if we all can get a time and a date to that we can all do it together on. So yeah, this is the video just running down free agency. I'll post the links to this video on TikTok, Instagram, 2-Minute Warning Radio. So I think I covered it. Yeah, I think that's everything. But yeah, listen in next week on Tuesday night, 7 p.m. WXTCRadio.com or 88.1 FM, Greenville, Pennsylvania, WXTC. Get out of bounds and stay tuned.